Hello everyone and welcome back guys to more of the Unnamed Motorsport podcast. Yes, we're back today, Jamie and I, after missing last week. Unfortunately, we were busy with other things going on, so hence why there was no podcast on and off week. But we're back today looking back at the Monaco Grand Prix. But, yeah, Jamie, in the 2 weeks we've been away, you been up to much, mate?
Not really. You know,
no.
University student in May. That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. I mean, you celebrated your birthday.
Yeah, I did.
Did you get absolutely fruit pasteled?
No.
No. That's a bit disappointing then, I'll be honest. But yeah, I mean, I've been up to a couple of bits. I got my hair cut, as you can quite clearly see in the video. I'm sure everyone's going to be loving that. Let me know down in the comments below. 1 to 10 on my fresh trim. And everything.
You've been very busy flexing your new PC on social media as well. That's why
I've been flexing my new PC on social media until it's decided to break on 2 separate occasions. So I've been loving that as well. But hopefully it's now up and running and actually working at some point in the near future as well. But yeah, the Monaco Grand Prix though. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it live. It's just straight up. Let's just put that straight on the table. I didn't watch it live. I was out with some friends from work, so I thought it's Monaco, nothing's going to happen. I wasn't too worried, and Jamie, I'll be honest, I got home from being out at about 4:30 in the afternoon. I got a text from my dad going, "Did you watch Monaco?" I responded, "No." He went, "Good." And I think that basically summed it up for on-track action, didn't it?
Pretty much. I think there wasn't an overtake at all after lap 1, which is pretty impressive. I can't remember the last time that happened at all.
Valencia 2012 screams out to... No, 2011, sorry.
Quality, yeah.
2011, sorry, screams out to me as a Grand Prix with no on-track overtakes. I'm sure we've had another race since then, yeah.
But yeah, I quite enjoyed it anyway, but that's mainly because of who did well. But in terms of actual racing, it wasn't fantastic.
Exactly, yeah. And I think this was the thing, wasn't it? As a fan of drivers... I think for a lot of people it probably swung their view of the weekend massively, like any weekend does. As a fan of the sport, though, dead race?
It was interesting for... you're not going to get an absolute cracker of a race at Monaco.
Yes,
it had everything you needed for Monaco. The strategy was quite interesting, at least for 10 laps in the middle. And then the rest of it, it's always quite intense at Monaco, just because one lock-up and you're in a wall. So
yeah, this is what I was wondering as well, because I saw a couple of people on Twitter moaning about that. Have we got to the point now, with maybe the exception of Mazepin, where generally nowadays F1 drivers are so good anyway that you just don't really tend to see mistakes around Monaco anymore in a Grand Prix?
I think in the race, because it's such a long race and I know that it's pretty much impossible to pass, you might as well just drive at 50% of your limit, and obviously it's still very difficult to race there, obviously.
Yeah. No one could get round you.
Yeah, you can drive it. We saw Ricciardo back in 18 with
160 horsepower down, yeah.
And he was still able to just drive within his capacities and take the lead and keep the lead. So I think it's just that they're not pushing. We saw on Saturday in practice, drivers were crashing all over the place. So
well, you had Schumacher bin it, didn't you?
And Leclerc.
And Leclerc in qualifying, which we were going to mention, yeah.
But when you're in a race, there's no point really risking it, so they don't bother pushing as hard as they could. Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, then, obviously discussing qualifying, Ferrari looked fast all weekend, and I think it was it Verstappen? Or it was someone from Red Bull, wasn't it? Asked them, they were hoping they'd done their runs on low fuel. Ferrari, quietly confident all weekend, and it was completely justified. One of those weird instances that we don't really get much during the hybrid era, wasn't it? Where a team that was generally conceived as part of the midfield was properly on the money come Saturday, and really that only happens at Monaco and Monza at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it, really. This is why you need tracks like Monaco, tracks really different tracks to the norm, just because otherwise you have Red Bull, Mercedes, at all the standard tracks you have Red Bull, Mercedes being the fastest two every single week, and tracks like Monaco where a driver can make a difference, where a car could just be randomly quick. That's what keeps F1 interesting.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And I think Monaco is such a driver's track as well. It goes to show that I'd probably say Ferrari have the strongest lineup right now in terms of both their drivers are performing as well.
It's close. There's a few up there, but yeah, they're definitely.
Who would you argue out of interest then? Yeah,
I would argue Mercedes and Red Bull.
Well, personally. Bottas has been a bit up and down. Perez has been a bit up and down.
In the races, Perez has generally been really good. Just qualifying, he's not quite there.
Has he?
Yeah, he's always
recovering. Has he been that
really
well. Great? Imola?
Well, Imola, the same for Bottas, same for Sainz.
Yeah, and I didn't say Bottas was that great.
Well, fair enough. I don't know. Ferrari drivers are definitely performing very well. I get what you're saying.
I think they're the only team at the moment that are getting pretty much everything out of both their drivers, I'd argue.
Yeah, that's pretty fair enough.
Yeah, you'd agree with that. So obviously, we saw Mick Schumacher bin it in FP3. Obviously, that meant he was out qualifying in him for... I mean, he's in a Haas anyway. It was going to be a long weekend.
He lost one position on the grid.
Exactly, yeah. Then, of course, obviously, we got through Q1. No major surprises particularly were there.
Alonso was bad.
That wasn't a major surprise to me.
He's rattled everyone.
I mean, he hasn't performed so far, has he?
It's done okay. It was, the 4 rookies and Alonso out.
Yeah.
Which, no major surprises apart from the one.
Yeah, the 4 Monaco rookies. Let's just specify that.
Yeah,
Latifi technically isn't a rookie, but lost his Monaco virginity this weekend.
That's an okay way of putting it, I suppose.
It's the way I put it now.
And Q2 was equally not that surprising, apart from Ricciardo.
Yeah, Ricciardo, king of the Monaco streets,
king
as
of
he dubbed himself, which was arguably the worst thing anyone's ever put on their helmet in Formula 1. I think we just need to specify that. Yeah, not a great weekend from Ricciardo. I mean, we'll discuss that a lot more as we get into the video. Yeah, my McLaren top is for Lando this weekend, not Danny Rick. Unfortunately there. Then, of course, we dive into Q3. Charles Leclerc bangs in pole position in the first lap, and they always say at Monaco, you gotta get your first lap in because someone, normally a Ferrari or a German, it's one or the other, is gonna do something on their second run to mean no one can improve. And what happened, Jamie?
That exact happened.
That exact thing happened.
A Ferrari on pole binned it on his second run.
Yes,
ensure
in the final sector. Yeah.
Never heard that before.
No. Yeah, Germans or Ferrari drivers, or both, as the case may be sometimes. They love a good qualifying. Well, no, let's be fair. I think we just need to get it out there. I definitely don't believe Charles Leclerc did it on purpose.
Not at all. Because he screwed himself for the race as well, so why? If he was going to do it, he would have done it properly like Rosberg did. Or Schumacher did. Well, Schumacher didn't really do it properly.
No. I mean, Rosberg didn't really do it properly, did he? I love the fact still, even at qualifying, like, what was it? One of the other guys made a reference to that. He went, it's still not funny.
Yeah.
You know, mate, have some chill. You got away with it.
He stands by his opinion that it was a mistake, but
30 metres late into a braking zone, I'm sorry, is not a mistake.
I mean, Leclerc turned in about 10 metres early, so
it wasn't quite that much, was it?
No, it wasn't that early.
Yeah, no, it wasn't great.
It was that early, but
yeah. Again, we're not trying to say Leclerc did it on purpose. Out of the 3, that was the least likely to be on purpose. Out of those 3 incidents in Monaco qualifying, but obviously you heard Verstappen on the radio was really annoyed with that. Of course, like every lap, Verstappen's had to abandon, whether it be for track limits or anything like that. Of course, it was going to be the lap of the decade. And obviously, it basically meant if he got that pole position, he would have been world champion right then and there, according to Christian Horner and Helmut Marko.
You're so toxic, you. I can't believe this.
I'm sorry. Come on. He was, quarter of a second down on Charles Leclerc.
He was getting
already.
pole that lap. He was getting pole.
Was he? Was he definitely?
Yeah. He was...
he was a tenth and a half up at a turn 8.
Yeah. And he knew he made a mistake.
But Charles Leclerc nailed the final sector on his first lap.
I thought you were going to say nailed it in his second lap. He definitely didn't.
Mate, he nailed the wall.
He nailed it into the wall, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like if a driver in your last... It's pretty much the most intense lap of the season.
Yeah.
If you get it robbed away from you halfway through, you're a bit mad, aren't you?
I can understand he's upset by it. I can completely understand that. But on the other hand, it's, again, like you said, it's the most intense lap of the year. There's a fair chance you're going to make a mistake as well. I mean, we saw Hamilton do it. We saw Hamilton rock up against the wall twice.
In the barrier, wasn't he?
Yeah, he slapped the wall through lower Mirabeau, didn't he? And then slapped it again on the way out of Portier. Obviously, as a Hamilton fan, I wasn't too disappointed I missed the Grand Prix.
He's never been that good at Monaco.
No, he's not a Monaco specialist, is he?
And you like to think he's Ayrton Senna when he's not.
I don't think he thinks he's Ayrton Senna by any stretch. Yeah, it says it all, doesn't it? When Monaco is arguably one of Hamilton's weakest tracks on the calendar, and he still won 3 Grand Prix there.
Is it 3, really?
Is it 2008, 2016, and 2019?
Yeah.
I mean, 2008, he slapped the wall, didn't he, and still won that Grand Prix.
Yeah, and 2016 he lucked into. And then 2019 was fair enough.
2016 he didn't luck into. Ricciardo he did, sorry, Yeah, no, I forgot about Ricciardo. I thought you meant Rosberg, I'll be honest.
No, Rosberg was trash.
Rosberg had just, a fun weekend. Triple Grand Prix winner there beforehand, and then just sat around in 7th place and got mugged by Hulkenberg up to the line.
Yep.
But yeah, of course, so we've just gone on such a tangent about qualifying.
Well, qualifying is the most important part of the weekend.
But exactly, yeah. I mean, it was the bit that I actually watched from the Grand Prix weekend there. But I mean, obviously, then we saw Bottas. Fair play to him.
Actually did quite well.
Very good weekend.
Well done.
Up until a certain point, which we'll discuss in a minute. But yeah, I mean, he seemed comfortable all weekend. Quicker than Hamilton come qualifying. Which we don't say too often unless it's the Russian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But again, heartbreak for him in the race, which we'll discuss in just a minute there. But yeah, I mean, again, obviously at the end of qualifying we had, obviously those couple of surprises. I mean, Carlos Sainz did really well up in P4 even, sorry. No, it was P3.
It was 4th.
It was 4th, yeah, and then obviously P3 on the grid after Charles Leclerc's demise. Lando as well, obviously 5th on the grid as well. Another really good job done by him. Gasly as well, fair play to him.
What a guy.
Obviously able to go quicker than Hamilton into 6th place, so I'm sure he was very, very happy with
his
that
teammates in 17th, showing the true pace of the car. Gasly's just getting the most out of it.
Exactly. Tsunoda's still also a rookie.
No propaganda at all here.
No Japanese propaganda allowed, apparently, according to Jamie. But yeah, so a good qualifying from a lot of people. It's sort of one of those weird ones, wasn't it? Where there was a lot of good qualifying for people, and just a few people that were gutted really badly.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the way Monaco tends to work, but still.
But then obviously gutted.
Yeah.
Sunday just before the race.
Sunday morning rolls around. Tell me about it, Jamie.
Well, I was actually in a car until about 1:45, so
wonderful.
I wasn't seeing the news at all until as it happened. But Leclerc, well, they said his car was fine after the crash, no gearbox change, nothing.
Yep.
And then he does his outlap to the grid, and the drive shaft is broken.
Even though
they could have replaced it without a penalty.
You listened to Leclerc's radio, he reported a gearbox issue.
Oh yeah, but it actually wasn't. Like that's not just Ferrari hiding the truth.
Is it not Ferrari hiding the truth?
No, I don't.
Are we definitely saying
it's
not Ferrari hiding the truth?
The drive shaft that broke was on the left-hand side, which wasn't the side that crashed.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you could put shock through it.
Yeah, obviously they had a lot of shockwaves through it, but it could have just been a completely unrelated mechanical issue. And if it was, that's quite surprising that two things break.
It seems it's still dodgy to me, I'll be honest. Yeah. It seems like Ferrari probably tried to cover up a bit of a boo-boo because they threw away a Monaco Grand Prix victory that probably would have been Charles. Let's be fair. Charles Leclerc could and probably would have won that Grand Prix had he started from pole position there. But of course that meant for the start, I mean, it was a bit weird. Obviously you had Max Verstappen on pole on the wrong side, basically. Obviously led into turn 1. Watching it back, I was a bit gutted. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I was a bit gutted Bottas didn't keep the nose in.
He backed out really quickly, didn't he?
Had he not just kept the throttle to the floor, he could have got... Either Verstappen would have hit him and they would have both probably gone out, or Verstappen would have hit the wall and gone out straight away. And Bottas might have just got away with front wing damage, might have had suspension damage as well. But either way, Bottas bailed out, as Bottas tends to, which was a little bit gutting. But again, Verstappen lives rent-free in his head, man.
Well, Bottas just rolls over for anyone.
Yeah, no, but I mean, even Max Verstappen is so much more aware of it than anyone else. It's been for like 5 years now, hasn't it? I remember back when they were doing like the overtakes of the year back in 2017, and he was literally going on about like Bottas tax, wasn't it?
He was
like, Ricciardo's move wasn't move of the year, because of Bottas tax. You're like, how on earth, as a Formula 1 driver who... Well, it's not even that he's bad at racecraft necessarily, but he's like you in league racing. He just takes no risk. He just makes it boring and dull. And I just want to see Bottas keep the nose there once, so at least next time round, Verstappen second guesses himself a bit. That's all I want, Valtteri.
I feel
That's
personally
all
attacked. But okay.
Good. But yeah, so Bottas could have maybe kept the nose there down towards turn 1. Didn't, rather unsurprisingly. Hamilton was the first of the front runners to pit, wasn't he? After we saw Schumacher bang Mazepin on lap 1 for an easy move.
Yep. Nothing really happened until the pit stopped, as you would expect.
So I'm right in thinking Hamilton pit first.
Yes. So there was a big gap emerged. Hamilton was 7th at this point.
No, he was 6th. 6th at this point. He started 7th, obviously 6th straight away behind Gasly in 5th. So I know more on this than you.
I wasn't really paying attention that part of the And then you had Vettel right behind Hamilton and Perez right behind Vettel.
Yeah.
And then a big gap back to Giovinazzi, I think it was.
Yeah.
So obviously Mercedes see this gap, like, we can pit Hamilton and we'll get a free air, which is great because he's been stuck behind Gasly. He then goes up
basically all Monaco's all about.
Yeah. He goes up to the hard tyres, comes out the pits, does as fast an outlap as he can, and then 1 lap later Gasly pits from the softs and is still ahead of Hamilton.
Yep, and comfortably as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't.
It wasn't like they were side by side of the hill like we saw with Vettel soon after.
And then that obviously left Hamilton still in 6th place.
Yep.
And then both Vettel and Perez went longer. Vettel only by 1 more lap than Gasly, but managed to overcome.
Whipped it out of the bag. Yeah, fair play to Seb. He's been pretty mediocre all year, but that was really good by him.
Yeah, up into what was then 6th, which became 5th, obviously when Bottas.
Well, Bottas pit beforehand, didn't he, I think?
Oh, maybe, or it's around the same time anyway.
Bottas pit 1 lap after Hamilton, so obviously it was whilst all this was going on, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Valtteri Bottas has now confirmed to have had the longest pit stop in F1 history.
The tyre is still on.
At the time of recording this video, the tyre is genuinely still stuck on that car.
It's been over 24 hours.
It's literally been a 24-hour pit stop. For poor Valtteri Bottas. I mean, again, it's one of those horrible things, isn't it? Because this was a weekend where Valtteri really could have... I mean, he could have clawed back big points on Hamilton, first of all.
Yeah, he would have finished
which is always the first. He would have finished second. Straight up. He just would have finished second in that Grand Prix there.
12 points gain on Hamilton?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
So, that's quite a big gap. That's more than you get for winning when your teammate's in second. So
yes. Yeah, Bottas had... I mean, I was a bit gutted for him, I'll be honest. Because, again, like I said, he did do really well in qualifying.
Yeah.
It was one of those horrible weekends for Valtteri where we give him a lot of stick generally because he's not that great most weekends, but genuinely this weekend he seemed to be on the money.
Yeah,
and it still gets... And unfortunately, I mean, in 6 months' time, there's a fair chance, if it wasn't for the tyre still being stuck on the car now meme that's going to occur, we would all just put it down to Bottas being meh again and completely forget that he actually was up to that point a really good weekend by him.
Yeah, 100%. Although it was quite funny because it is Bottas. So
yeah, there is that as well. I mean, we've had... I mean, I think you can see, can't you, during the pit stop, you can see him put the wheel gun in and just all this metal fly out in every direction.
I watched Ted's Notebook and he said the actual wheel gun, like, machined the
wheel onto the bearing, yeah.
So all of the grooves in the wheel nut that are there to grip onto just went. Yeah. It basically sanded it down to nothing, so you couldn't get it off. So it's still on the car to this day.
Yep, Bottas is going to have to use that tyre for the rest of the
rest of the season.
Yeah, it's just going to be there from now on for good for Paul Valtteri Bottas there. But of course, then we saw Vettel, or we didn't see, as the case was, Vettel and Gasly. Vettel, like we said, does the overcut, comes out the pits, side by side of the hill. And we cut to Lance Stroll making a boo-boo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, like I said, I didn't watch the Grand Prix. I watched some of the Formula 2 earlier on in the weekend. Obviously, I watched qualifying. The race directing this weekend was arguably the worst I've seen in memory. Just at all. It was horrendous.
It wasn't great at all. I tried to have sympathy for race directors because I've done it at F1 Esports. Yeah. It's quite hard.
It's not the easiest job in the world, but at Monaco, surely you think it's a bit easier than a lot of places.
Yeah, nothing happens, and the one thing that happened, they cut away from.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that was planned, that they would go to that replay in advance. So then, just think on your feet. Someone cancelled the automation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It can't be that hard to stop it. But,
I mean, the F1 TV Centre is sophisticated beyond belief. Like, the amount of just stuff and technology they've got in there is insane. And they still missed the one thing that happened during the Grand Prix. I mean, again, with F1 where it's at now, I mean, it leaves us with a lot of memes ready for the next few weeks.
I'd probably say it's worth it just for the memes.
Did you see the Aguero one online?
Yes. Just cuts away to Stroll's face.
Cuts away to Lance Stroll. that was quite good. So, I mean, again, you try and look at the positives. these things. But I know I said to one of my mates, I went, someone I'm sure is having a job review this morning after the shambles that was race direction over the weekend. Now, on our notes, the next thing I've got is Hamilton cries. I genuinely am not sure what that is, so please can you explain that to me? Jamie did write the notes this week.
So, it was when he came out behind Gasly a couple of laps later.
Oh, I did hear this in all fairness.
It was after Perez had pit. So Perez was in effectively 8th.
Yeah.
And went really long in the free air. He had overcut both Hamilton, Gasly, and Vettel up into 4th quite comfortably. Hamilton then gets informed that he's behind Gasly. Well, he knew he was behind Gasly. He's also informed that he's behind Vettel and
I'm
Perez.
sure he would have seen he was behind Vettel.
Yeah. So
unless he was looking at that Stroll as well.
And Hamilton's just absolutely fuming on the radio. It was like...
Which you can't blame him.
No, you can't blame him at all, but Bono said something proper stupid. It was like, right, we've lost places to Vettel and Perez. Sorry about that. When you're talking to a multiple world champion, just saying sorry isn't really going to make much of a difference. But I can see why he was upset. But
it was one of those things, wasn't it, where on the one hand, even as a Hamilton fan, I could admit, unless they find something was wrong with the car, he just didn't perform well enough.
No.
Straight
and there
up.
wasn't anything wrong with the car.
No. Not that we're aware of yet. I don't think there will be, to be honest. I think
they've already packed it up. They won't find it now.
Well, probably not. But yeah, no, it was just not a good weekend by Hamilton, unfortunately. But I would have thought, for him, surely. I mean, he, like you said, he tried to absolutely rag it around on his outlap and still couldn't get past Gasly. I think that tells you enough, doesn't it? About clearly he was having issues this weekend. Yeah.
In the car.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. Then, of course... we go to Ricciardo and his streets, or they once were. After this weekend's performance, I think he belongs to the streets as well.
Yep.
What can we say? Daniel Ricciardo, man. What's going on?
What's up with him.
I read an interesting thing online earlier on today, actually, talking about how apparently it's the McLaren likes to understeer a lot, and Ricciardo's driving style means he drags the brake really far into the corner. Apparently that's why he's struggling so much. Personally, I believe if you're paid, 25-30 million pounds a year? You should be able to adapt, Or you need to be spending more time on the seat, one or the other.
Yeah, it was really poor. And obviously, as Lando lapped him, he waved, which I'm sure went down well.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, Ricciardo was stuck in 12th behind Raikkonen all race, which is where he started. Or he effectively started 11th because of...
no, he qualified 13th, didn't he? Or did he qualify 12th?
No, he qualified 12th. Moved up to 11th because of Leclerc.
Yeah.
So he lost places in that race to Stroll and Raikkonen.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very, very poor, and I'm sure his fans are depressed.
Yes, yeah, but we don't know any of those.
We
don't
know,
fine.
and certainly none who will watch this far into the video. So.
Exactly. So then, of course, we had all the boys on the podium: Lando, Carlos, Verstappen, the second youngest podium of all time. Because, and I quote from Max Verstappen, it's because Carlos Sainz is old, which I thought was quite funny, bless him.
And Sainz is what, 25, 26? Maybe?
25, 26, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, ancient. So
ancient, is he?
I really enjoyed that. I think it's why I liked the race as much as I did, because the podium was unreal. Obviously I'm a Verstappen fan, I wanted to win a title. And just seeing Lando and Carlos together is makes me happy.
Carlos and Lando back together is something we all wanted as well. But yeah, I mean, we could try and go into discussions about whether Monaco should be on the calendar or all this, that, and the other. It's just yes or no, Jamie. Do you believe Monaco still should be on the calendar?
Yeah. I think it's a great
event. A great event might be a bit
maybe
strong.
Great's pushing it, but I think it's definitely not the worst.
No, actually, to be fair, an event, that is obviously the way to describe it, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you go... I can understand for new fans, on the other hand, obviously, as F1's trying to market itself more and more each year to new beginners and things like that, it must seem really odd that the pinnacle of the year, the one Grand Prix everyone has to see, is a snooze fest.
Yeah, but there's something historical about it.
Exactly. But a lot of people don't care about that. It's where it gets a bit difficult, isn't it?
It is a really interesting spectacle, though, seeing these cars go so quickly through a town.
Yeah.
You don't get it anywhere else, apart from Baku next week. Yeah. I think it definitely belongs on the calendar. So.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it? I think it's just one of those things, isn't it? Monaco is a constant in Formula 1. I can understand people don't enjoy it. Again, like me, I wasn't worried when I found out when I was going out that I was going to miss Monaco. It didn't bother me particularly. It's not going anywhere, and I don't believe it should go anywhere. It's got to be there, otherwise, really, it's not F1 anymore, is it? In sort of like a weird way.
Yeah, it's like
it's all a bit strange to describe, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoy the event as a whole.
Yes, so. Yeah. I mean, it's Formula 2, for the bits I watched, was okay. Again, it wasn't action-packed, but, I mean, as a Guan Yu Zhou fan, you spent most of the weekend... I don't want to know what you were doing, to be honest, actually. Watching Guan Yu Zhou go around.
But it was fairly decent as a Zhou fan. He's still got a good, comfortable championship lead. So.
He certainly does, yeah. The fact he's going to lose to Tickton by the end of the year, I think is brilliant.
I mean, Tickton couldn't even turn for Raskas at one point. Like, what on earth is he doing?
Yeah, there was that as well. But still, believe in Dan or Oscar Pastries.
If you don't watch F2, you should, by the way. It is really good.
Yeah, that, to be fair, I can agree. I've been trying to watch F2 more this year. I mean, I missed out some of the Monaco stuff, but I watched a fair bit as well. That was still good fun. But anyway then, looking towards Baku, obviously we'll do sort of a proper Grand Prix preview next week. Of course, we've got another off week now after Monaco. Top 3 for Baku, Jamie.
That's going to be quite interesting. Mercedes were trying to downplay their hopes because it's another street track, but it's so different to Monaco that, like, it's not really comparable. I'll go Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas.
You're going Verstappen still, are you?
Yeah. He's got the flexi rear wing. He's going to be rapid on the straight.
Is he actually still allowed to keep that, is he?
For one more race until France, yeah.
Fair enough. So you're going Verham Bot, are you?
Yeah.
I am therefore going to go Ham Verbot. I almost went Hambot Ver, but I'm going to go Ham Verbot. So
you're going 2021 instead of 2020.
I'm going to go 2021 again instead of 2020 for a race review. And you're going... I don't know where you're going.
2022.
2022, you believe, do you? Fair enough. I admire the optimism there at the end of the day. But anything else to discuss from Monaco?
Don't think so.
No, the golf livery was cool. I wanted to add that in there. Jamie said don't bother, but I'm adding it in there now.
What a point.
It was a good livery. It does open up the question of whether Monaco needs to be like a classic weekend for liveries and things like that. But you just think. That's great for the likes of Ferrari, McLaren,
yeah, what
Mercedes. Yeah, Haas is just going to rock up with a livery from 3 years ago. Just go, oh, remember Rich Energy, that one time they were a sponsor? Hey. And just stuff like that. But I mean, some of the other teams would be quite cool to see. I'd love to see like a classic Toro Rosso livery back or things like that.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. Actually.
Or a classic Williams.
I'll bring back the Minardi. That'd be cool.
Bring back Minardi. Can you imagine if they did that? Like the K&L Airways or whatever it was. Back in the
race.
Day. Yeah, that'd be mad. Yeah, you got to represent yourself as like an old team. Have like Aston Martin come back with like the buzzing Hornets livery.
Yeah. That'd be quite cool, actually.
That would be a
run a Brawn
mess.
livery for a weekend.
I'd love to see Mercedes run.
That wouldn't be confusing at all for the new fans.
No, exactly. That wouldn't throw anyone off at all. Yeah, imagine that Formula 1 livery lottery. You have to represent someone else's team for a weekend. What are we doing? This is descending into anarchy, as it always tends to.
Just end it.
At the end of the day. But thank you all so much for watching nonetheless. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well. Like we said, hopefully we'll be back next week again. We'll do a bit more of a Baku preview and obviously discuss some of the stuff from the off week in the world of Formula 1. If there's anything you guys wanted us to discuss as well, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, we will be back next Tuesday ready for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix preview.